there are so
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
So many Stephen King terrible movie adaptations. So my name is Ahmed and I analyze books, I review books as well, and the goal of this channel is actually to start a discussion. I don't really want to be that guy who screams into your face and only shares his opinions. I don't want this channel to be about me. And if you want me to analyze your favorite book or review your favorite book, drop it down into the comment below, into the comment section below. There are so many terrible Stephen King adaptations. But here's the weird bit. Here's the strangest bit that you will find out there. And it is that so many Stephen King books are phenomenal, but so many Stephen King movie adaptations of his books are so terrible. It really begs the question, why are there so many terrible Stephen King adaptations? The first thing that you have to understand, and a lot of people are fuzzy-headed, they skip this one, which is movies and books are not the same. It is very obvious, but 99% of the time, people fail to understand the obvious. Because what makes greatness is, at its root, the foundation. And this is important to understand because even though so many Stephen King books are phenomenal, so many of his movie adaptations, the movie adaptations of his books are terrible primarily because they fail to understand that he writes books and they are trying to make movies out of his books. To understand that a movie is not a book means you will be able to admit that some of the advantages of books, which great authors all the time utilize, need to be converted to a movie. Because one of the great advantages of books is that an author can straight up tell you something without showing you. And a lot of authors end up telling a lot of the character. And they do end up showing, but Stephen King, for instance, a lot of the time what he will do is a lot of his novels are delving into the head of the character, and that is where most of the meat is of his books, and he tells you a lot about them. And this helps with retention. Even when he shows you something, he will tell you afterwards to help with retention. But the movie going audience, if you literally do every action that happens in the books, the movie going audience will not be able to have full information of what is happening. And this is very crucial because it means in order for you to adapt a Stephen King novel properly, you have to understand that first of all, you'll need to make a lot of changes. And then you'll have to adapt a lot of things that are, number one, not told. And number two, you'll have to take a lot of things in the novel that are told and make it into action, make it into visuals. But another reason that makes them terrible is the reality that Stephen King is a very strange, very weird author. Among the horror genre, he's actually not common. When you take a Stephen King book and you read it, you really will not find many books out there that have the same aesthetic and feel to them. And one of the things that makes Stephen King very special in my eyes is that he can take something very silly and he can make it into very serious. Basically, he can make you scared of the silliest things in the world. That's a Stephen King positive trait. And a lot of people fail to replicate that. So first of all, they skip on the reality that they are adapting a movie to a book and they think that the obvious is easy, but the obvious is very difficult. But then another thing that they cannot do is take anything and make it scary. Because if you can't take anything and make it scary, you are not fit to adapt a Stephen King novel. And that is, I think, the most crucial element relating to Stephen King. If you cannot write horror so well that you can make anything scary, you are not fit to adapt a Stephen King novel. And that to me is very, very important. So those are the two things that make a lot of Stephen King adaptations of his books terrible. One of the things that a lot of his great movie adaptations do well, like for instance The Shining with Kubrick, is that they take a lot of creative liberties. And if you fail to take those creative liberties properly, you have failed to adapt the book properly. But then the second thing that Kubrick does very well is he will take anything and make it scary. Kubrick will literally make a zoom-in shot over the sky of a particular area scary. Like if you watch The Shining, the beginning of the movie with that, panning shot, it is scary with the music. And so Kubrick can make anything scary. And so the reason why The Shining, I think, was great is because Kubrick was able to understand that he's adapting a book and he took enough creative liberties. But number two, when he was writing the screenplay, he had the ability to make anything scary like Stephen King. It didn't matter if it was serious, if it was silly, he had the ability and he did make it happen. And he made a very great adaptation that people celebrate to this very day. In other words, what makes a bad Stephen King adaptation is not understanding that you are adapting a book. And number two is not being able to make anything scary like Stephen King. In other words, you are not a good horror writer. And those are the two things that make great Stephen King adaptations. But also, messing those great things up is what makes terrible Stephen King movie adaptations. And so that was the second episode of Adaptation Detective. I hope that you took something from this and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have anything to suggest to me, you can suggest it down in the comments. Again, this channel is two things, book analysis, book reviews, but also at the same time, it's a discussion with you, between you and me. You can chime in down in the comments below. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, you can consider subscribing and share this with your friends. Have a nice day.